tuned in to the Crypto Nerd Podcast, brought to you by Citrus and Algorand.
To IPFS, and inside this IPFS, we will have another URL that will redirect to the picture. So there was two calls that needed to be made to display, just to fetch the picture. So it was an issue for Marketplace at first to have this standard. So Arc69 is more direct approach. There is pros and cons in both Arc, but the main idea of Arc69 is the URL will redirect directly with to the picture, and the metadata will be stored on not when you do an asset config transaction. The drawback of this is you need to have to call an indexer to get the metadata for the asset. So it depends on your approach. Because indexers are really so you can call an external indexer, but if you want to have one in your server, that's like 6 tera of data. So it's really really huge to have this kind of data in the local. So it depends on your approach. I really think that Arc3 plus Arc69 plus Arc19 is the best approach because you can have this mutability that you don't have on Arc3, and you don't have a limit inside the metadata that you have on Arc69, because if you do just an asset configuration, the knot have a limit in size, and you cannot put like, if you want to put, I don't know, 200 properties in your asset, you cannot do this on Arc69.
Thank you so much. It's great to have some clarity about this, because many people buy NFTs, but we don't really know which kind of NFT we are buying. If it could be like some changes in the future, in the next years, like, do you think there is something that can change in the future that can make some NFTs irrelevant in terms of like technically speaking?
Yes. So for NFTs, so that is true for Arc3 or Arc69. So the URL is stored on IPFS, and IPFS is it's like a torrent. So if anyone is submitting information, you will always be able to have your picture on your wallet and etc. But if no one is displaying, sharing the picture that you bought, you will not be able to see it anymore. So I encourage everyone that have an NFTs to at least store it in a hard drive or something. Just store the picture, and in the future you will be able to put it again online if something goes wrong somewhere. So that's the point for the picture that is displayed. That's the same thing for the metadata for Arc3, because it's stored on IPFS. So if you want to be sure that no one can destroy what you have, or just stop sharing what you have, store it inside your computer, and you will be able to share it online later. So
it's kind of risky to have everything relying on IPFS. It's a free market. If another kind of protocol competing with IPFS wins and IPFS becomes obsolete, we can lose so much value, right? Like how to prevent that? Can't we just send the data in different kind of storage protocols?
So IPFS cannot really goes down. It's like saying you want to shut down the dark web or something like this. You cannot do this. But I agree that maybe sometime or somewhere a better way of sharing can be found, and maybe we will use another I would say another service. But IPFS is just a node that you have on your computer. So that will be the same thing to say you can shut down a whole blockchain. You cannot do this. Maybe if you have a Solana or Luna, but you cannot normally shut down a blockchain that is
not shutting down. Yeah, I was not thinking about shutting down IPFS. Just if it's not used anymore, if no one really maintain nodes and store data, and it's hard to get the picture, you will have to wait a longer time. And another service is much better. So many NFTs in different blockchains actually can become problematic.
It will be every NFT on every blockchain, basically.
So they all use IPFS below, pretty much.
Sorry, Patrick, can you say that again?
No, I mean, pretty much, like NFTs on every blockchain. I mean, I'd say 95% are all on IPFS.
Yeah,
it's not like an Algorand thing. It's IPFS.
Yeah, I know.
Very widely used.
Yeah, that's an even bigger risk for the industry. If I don't know.
It's basically a node.
The standards can change. Conventions can change. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were storing stuff on floppy disks, right? It's so you could say, does something replace? I mean, IPFS is an open source, standard kind of protocol. Anyone can run nodes. People still have to pin the content. I think that's a more problematic, greater issue. But let's just say IPFS. People say IPFS stinks. Let's use SneakerNet 2.0. The new Web3 standard. And potentially then there would be an industry movement to kind of remint, basically, right? Or you have mechanisms to actually, in a way, in a sense, it's when you go to more mutability. Ethereum, their NFTs it's just all contracts. So they were always mutable to begin with because it was just a contract returning like a URL for a token. And ARC-19 at least is very specifically patterned after, is targeted to IPFS. So that it didn't become kind of, if I didn't do that, it probably never would have been, it would have gone on forever because people would have tried to have different specs for everything that's out there. But I just imagine that people would have like a bridge / remint process where you could kind of transfer you could say that the creator could kind of accept prior NFTs and then remint it on a new storage medium if that really ever came to that.
Yeah, or we needed a change to be able to edit the URL through a configuration.
Yeah, that would be the ideal, honestly. Honestly, just making it so that URL on Algorand was mutable and you could still freeze it with, by removing the manager address and stuff. But ideally, we would just make the URL mutable, and maybe that comes with time. That would probably be preferable, to be honest.
Yeah. So you have this kind of stuff can be an issue, but so for ARC-69 also, if for example you have an asset that have a certain rarity, and the creator still have a manager address, he can update metadata for this asset and change the rarity of your asset. So that can be an issue if you have this kind of. You need to be sure of what you have. So if your asset still have a manager address and use ARC-69, the metadata can be updated.
Thanks for clarifying everything. And Are there other more exotic ARC that not everybody knows about?
Yeah, so we have like 10 arcs for wallets. So I talked a bit about it before. I know that 2 are from Reach, so Chris is not here, but maybe if someone from Reach want to jump in, feel free. So I will not go through each of them, but the main idea here is that every wallet which follows the IRC allows easier integration by companies or projects who want to add a new wallet. Wallet package like Wallet Connect can also be used for Algorand or other blockchains. So for example, Pera Pera Wallet use Wallet Connect, but you can also integrate it manually if you want to. And so maybe in the future, with this kind of standard, we hope that more standard wallets like MetaMask can be integrated on Algorand. So that's the main idea behind the ARC IRC wallet. So as I said before, there is this ARC 18. So ARC 18 and ARC 20 are both the same, from the same idea. ARC 18 are just focused on the transfer. So I see, Algo, you have a question. So
yeah, I'm thinking that a lot of the most important NFT series that have come out on Algorand so far are either in ARC 3 or ARC 69. Only a few are in ARC 19 because it only came out about a month ago. Is there any possibility, I'm talking Algowanas, Mingos, Yieldlings, Algobots. These projects, if they want to survive and add utility, will need to probably be in a different ARC or add metadata or be able to update. Would it be possible theoretically to have an ARC standard that takes something that's ARC 3 or ARC 69 and essentially creates a derivative NFT for it, which can be altered and will be intrinsically tied to the original? This is just like theory crafting. I don't know if this is possible, but what do you think?
So we have, so I have this on my to-do list, but it was not my to-do list before, but someone shared his to-do list with me. Yes, we need to have, so, and even before ARC 3, there was NFTs that was created on, I don't know which standard because there was none, and but they exist. So we need to have this kind of, to find a standard to let evolve previous NFTs, so ARC 3, ARC 69, whatever you want. And that's not an easy task. So I encourage anyone that have an idea to share it on the Algorand Foundation forum, and we will go through it. But my job is not really to create ARCs. My job is more to if I have an idea like anyone else, I will create one. But my job is more to go through every idea that everyone have, be sure that is correct technically, and after that, be sure that everyone, so marketplace or DeFi or I don't know which project, use this correctly. So that's my my main focus. But of course, I think it's a really good idea. So if anyone have any technical knowledge about how to do this, I am happy to review your pull request. But that's a good idea.
And also, I think we have the forum.algo.org where anybody that has an idea can put his proposal, right? We have a specific channel for ARCs. Yeah.
Yeah. We have so in the Discord we have a specific channel for Arc, and in the forum we have a specified topic section for Arc. So you can just go here, and even if you are not technical, but you have just an ID, and go there, and more technical people can jump on your ID and see if something can be done. If you have the whole package ID plus the technical knowledge, you can go through the whole process alone. But if you have just an ID, feel free to just share it on the Algorand Foundation forum. And yes, for me, it's why I put it on the forum and not so the Algorand forum. That's why I put it here, because GitHub is kind of too technical for most people. So not everyone know how to request a pull request, to just open an issue, a discussion, how it's really going. But the forum is more user-friendly for everyone, so feel free to use it. And if you have an idea, just put it here, and maybe someone will jump on it and add more in-depth information on it.
Were there any interesting use cases for 3D arcs?
Yeah. So we have an arc, I think it's 27, that has been requested for 3D. It's not in the official repo yet. I am talking with the ARC author, and to know exactly why and how you want to use it. But something is open. I will just search. So yes, it's ARC 27 convention for digital 3D media token. So the main idea here is to have a link that relates to a 3D mesh, 3D mesh, and but I don't know if Arc3 is not enough for this kind of approach, because you can always set a 3D, a new field, a 3D media file, and put the link of what you want here. But maybe the best way to do this is just to create a RC on top of the Arc3. So you can do this. You said that it's just an update of the Arc3, and especially for a 3D file. And we add this new field that will allow 3D Explorer to manage this kind of file. So you add a new field with a new URL, and that can be an approach. But I am talking with someone who is working on it since March. So there is something in the pipe for this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Stefan. It really does, like stuff like 3D like that. It's really just more of like a new property in the metadata.
Yeah,
really
for me, it's just necessary, but you need to have a new arc, because so if you are a 3D, if you have a 3D project, you will just you see a 3D convention for metadata. You go through this, and since Arc3 is already in final state, we will not be able to update it with a new arc. So yes, I encourage people to create just a new IRC with a new field and explain why you need it and how you use it, and that should go through really easily. But I have a call with the author of the Arc 27 and see with him if we cannot just create a new field for Arc3. But for me, it's enough for this kind of stuff. And for the mutability, you can use Arc 19 as everyone knows. But you need to use Arc3 plus Arc 19. Arc 69 will have an issue for this.
I remember we had some conversation maybe 1 year ago, or a bit less, maybe 6 months ago, I don't remember, about the smart NFTs on Darkroom created by staff. And I don't know if it went into a kind of arc, or I don't know if you had a look at his idea at the time. Is it something that is going to be in an arc itself, or not really?
So I don't know about. So I know that the Arc 18 might be this. So the Arc 18 20 might be the final result of this. I don't have the full history, but I think that the idea of having a way to enforce something when you do a transaction was a topic. Maybe Patrick, you have a more in-depth knowledge about this.
Yeah. I mean, what was on Dartroom was basically, more like it was a combination. I guess it would be a combination of ARC 18, 20, but it was about enforcing royalties. But really, it was more along the lines of 721 or 1155, where the contract itself is the NFT.
Okay, so basically put information in the metadata.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, it's the contract, had certain state, and then that state is, things like the URL and stuff like that, and it's mutable through contract calls. So it's more like a pure Ethereum NFT, and that's where I think, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think I like ASAs a lot. There's a lot of really good things about them, particularly for just general like utility tokens and things, because they are native layer one assets. You can do swaps without requiring contracts. But I think as people want more kind of programmable assets, particularly around in the NFT space, then it does kind of feel like over time there'll be a kind of migration to just pure contracts, which is kind of like Arc 20 is basically the way it's currently proposed, or the proposed implementation is a contract with a paired ASA, but the ASA is just there to track balance, and it's not like all the normal traditional fields of the ASA are kind of ignored, and you just use the contract. I think at that point you should just go all in and just have the contract be the asset. I think over time we'll land there, but it's going to require support across the ecosystem, wallets and explorers and things. But honestly, that would be required anyway, even with Arc 20, because if you say all these fields in the ASA, ignore all of those and instead get it from the contract, then at that point you might as well just use the contract, But that'll be interesting. So just its background, Dartroom, I think, was more traditional. It was almost more like an ERC 721 contract-based NFT that also allowed, royalty control. But it was very early, and it was still when you had the 10 contracts per account limitation. So it was severely handicapped on Dartroom.
Yeah, and you also add this limit inside your so it was 10 and 15, I guess, for application.
Yeah, it was like 50 that you could hold, like 10 that you could create.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, maybe we will land here one day, but I think we don't need this kind of NFTs for most usage. Yeah, so Arc 2018 is just here to enforce royalties on transfer, maybe enforce a new things for some kind of stuff. Maybe it's enough for classic NFTs that we have right now. But if you have more special, maybe if you need something with a lot of specification, we need to have a new standard with a full application. It will be more expensive to create NFTs in this kind of way, because you need to create an application, and it will not cost a lot more, but you will need to to put more algo in the balance to be able to use the application. So you will not, they will not be in your wallet anymore, but you will not pay for them. It's just how Algorand works. Maybe one day we'll go through this directly, and it will be a new standard. I think it's might be a new idea. Why not?
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, it's good to get back to the NFT conversation from time to time and to ARC conversation. It's an evolving environment, and not everybody that buys NFT knows exactly how it works. So thank you so much, Stefan, for your knowledge and explanation. And it's great. We have so many news too, like what have been going on this week since we last talked.
Yeah, well, speaking of NFTs, Rand Gallery was sold to Zest. Wanted to start a conversation here with everyone about this. We have Agash here, talk about what it means for Rand, what it means for the NFT space, what it means for, I guess, Kraken, who created Rand Gallery. Agash, do you want to come up and chat with us?
Yeah, I just want to put in like congrats. That was great. I'm happy for both parties. I know, like, they had to make a good offer to Rand's baby from him. At the same point, I was really happy they bought it. Not some unknown person. It's Agash and Zest have been really huge, quintessential parts of the community. So really happy to see that they were the ones that acquire it, and really excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Hey, all. Yeah, thanks a lot for your kind words. I guess the team at Zest and now Rand is quite excited with the acquisition, and we have kind of a lot of plans and a lot of hiring that we're kind of in the process of doing. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has any specific questions. I'm happy to answer anything I can.
So why Rand Gallery? It's one of the, I think, favorite marketplace, but why did you choose them?
I guess the simple answer was it was up for sale, whereas I don't think any of the other marketplaces were. Number one. I guess number two is kind of like you said, it is the biggest marketplace by volume. I think at least for the last I don't know how many months, but like 9 or 10 months. I think it's been the market leader in the space. So obviously it gives us a much better kind of starting position to kind of go in. And I guess one of the things that interests me, obviously, with Zestcap kind of primarily being focused on DAOs, one of the things that you'll see in the coming months is a lot more kind of DAO-like features to kind of differentiate ourselves from things like Magic Eden and OpenSea. I mean, a product that we kind of teased in the acquisition announcement was something called PartyBid, which exists on Ethereum, which is essentially like groups of people in a decentralized way buying NFTs into a contract and then managing those NFTs in a DAO-like format, including listing and etc. But a bunch of problems that PartyBid has is it's quite hard to integrate their system into kind of existing marketplaces. So certain cases there is an element of trust where one single individual will end up going and buying that NFT and sending it to the DAO. And obviously, owning a marketplace means that we can make those integrations a little bit easier.
Do you guys plan to like do a complete like a market overhaul and take it off a database and move it to smart contracts?
Yeah, that's definitely something that we'll be working towards in the medium term. I guess the short-term priorities is kind of, as Patrick is here as well, say it first, is the kind of a deeper NFT integration, which we already kind of started with just, search and send algo via NFT. And there's a few things that we're working on to make that integration a little bit stronger and using things like, the verified Twitter, Discord fields that you'll see in like the coming days. The second kind of immediate priority is para support, which I know a lot of people have been asking for on Rand. And obviously, given that the majority of, I guess, people do browse NFTs and buy NFTs on mobile, having a para support natively in Rand is obviously quite a big advantage. And the third thing would probably be a little bit around the UI UX of Rand. And then we'll probably go on to decentralization and things like that. obviously one thing which we'll do, I think, which no marketplace currently has done, is we are working on some contracts and they will be audited, this, that, and the other. So those things will take a little bit more time to come into fruition, but we kind of work out. We kind of want to work on the short-term priorities first, and then work on these kind of medium-term priorities of shifting, RAN to being a little bit more decentralized over time.
Could you tell us more about the level of centralization today, and where would you like ideally to end up with RAN Gallery?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, right now everything kind of works in escrow wallets, which are essentially RAN-controlled wallets, which are kind of securely encrypted and managed on the back end. And obviously, eventually, would like listings and all these things to go towards using partial-based smart contracts, using kind of the escrow service that a smart contract provides. Over time, all listings, offers, auctions, kind of all these things will be fully decentralized, and that is kind of a good prerequisite before we launch some of this DAO tooling that I kind of teased and has been teased in our kind of medium acquisition announcement as well.
What about new series and new collections trying to join the platform? Are you still going to be doing a curated, pick and choose who gets to be on it, or will you open it up, or will there be a system there to decentralize that decision-making process?
I guess what I can say for now, those things are being worked on, but I think for the medium to long term, RAN will continue to be a gated marketplace similar to Magic Eden, unlike OpenSea. I think both models have their advantages and disadvantages. But I guess one thing which having kind of a bigger full-time team on it, I don't know if you guys have been watching, we have been approving applications a lot faster because we have, two people on the team, Ross and Helen, who can dedicate a lot more time to reviewing these applications and getting them onboarded onto RAN a lot quicker than they were prior. So I guess, to answer your question, for now it will be gated around decentralization route. That's something we're discussing, so nothing concrete on that. But I think for the medium to long term, I do like the Magic Eden model of the gated marketplace model for the time being. But we will endeavor to essentially onboard projects faster. So we will still review them within our guidelines that we've made transparent in due course as we kind of work with the lawyers and figure a few things out. I guess the main thing to know is that if you have been, denied an application on RAND prior, please do reapply, and we are processing the applications within kind of 48 working hours right now.
So what does it require for someone to be accepted on RAN Gallery now that you guys have taken it over? What are you looking for in a project, addressing any potential NFT creator in the audience right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, like I said, we're still defining our process to be a little bit more concrete, which we then will make a little bit more transparent. But obviously, the things that we're probably kind of high level looking for is duplicate artwork, number one. Number two is obviously looking at things which probably go into things like copyright infringement of using IP that they don't actually own or don't have permission to use. And the third would be looking at things like, which I know is quite a heated topic over the last few weeks, but looking at things which will allude to things like securities and all these other things that certain projects, promising yield and all these other things, and just kind of looking at those a little bit more closely. But like I said, we're still working to create more solid standards, which will kind of be more transparent about as we, improve our process.
I know you're pretty involved with Algorand. Have you been working with their team to set up the V2 launch, or do you have anything special lined up for that?
No, obviously, Algorand have launched their own marketplace, and I think they're doing their whole V2 shuffle on shuffle.app. So we have not been involved in any of that.
So that kind of brings me to a point where the NFT marketplace scene on Algo, there's a lot of competitors what are you going to do with RAND that will differentiate you from the competition?
Yeah, I guess some of which I already alluded to is obviously looking at more feature sets, which I think will create a little bit more differentiation between the different marketplaces. And one of them, like I said, is looking at more DAO-esque tooling, DAO-esque features, DAO-esque operational things that we can do for RAD. But that would be kind of our main stance, given our experience as just cut with setting up kind of a institutional DAOs already. So yeah, that's the angle that we will be heading towards.
Yeah, there's lots of room in the NFT space for disruption like this. And I definitely see this as a power move and a good step forward for the NFT space, in my opinion.
All right. Definitely agree. Thanks, Agash, for coming up. The interview is over. You don't need to worry anymore. Unless you have anything else you want to share, please, feel free to share it right now.
Yeah, no worries. I'm always happy to answer questions, and yeah, I appreciate your interest in what we're doing.
So, as a segue here, Agash mentioned that Algorand is launching their own marketplace. This news came out yesterday. It's called Shuffle. Personally, I haven't had the time to really dive into what the app is offering, but have any of you DGens here on the call had that chance and seen what they're doing and why they're doing it and what makes it unique? No one used it.
I haven't used anything in a while, to be honest, man.
Okay, well, I guess it's not a great sign for Shuffle on the opening, the cold open for them. But yes, it seems like Algorand creators have launched their own NFT marketplace. They have, I don't even know enough about it, so I can't even speak about it. But look, maybe Duck Ape knows about it because he's requesting to come up.
Hi, Duck Ape. Sorry.
Does any of you guys got whitelist for the Goanna drop? The V2?
Your boy does.
Hi, Duck Ape. How are you doing? Please.
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Good. So I actually had a chance to mess around with Shuffle a little bit yesterday. As far as, operations, it's incredibly fast, much faster than I thought it would be, especially wrapping everything into smart contracts. It's pretty awesome that you can kind of shift it and look at kind of how the user interface will change. They have a kind of a mutant toggle switch that's kind of neat. As far as just like user interface goes, like in my opinion, it's probably one of the slickest that we have on chain right now. So it definitely opens up competition. It's going to make things, a lot more competitive in the algo NFT space, in my opinion. So a really, really good impression of it just to start with. So thanks. Did I get rugged?
No, you're good.
No. I think no one knows really what to say because we haven't checked out the app yet, but appreciate that insight. That's really interesting.
Would recommend. How about that? Go take a moment and check it out. Impressive.
I may have to ape into it in a minute. Yeah, you've caught my curiosity now, sir. But anything else that anyone wants to add? Anyone else want to come up and share something?
Yeah, I think we had many things happening this week, especially with the Humble, the farms. Humble is here. Please jump in. Tell us more about your farming.
Yeah, I hope they had where you could deposit the liquidity pool tokens on Folk soon. so I could do my humble OP as well. Like right now, I've been having fun doing my pact and my tiny man one.
I can answer about that if you want to. So this is something that we have to work on our side, and it's already working. But the Folks team is very focused on the V2, which is upcoming soon, and this is something that will be directly integrated in the V2. So also about that, we kind of post also the listing of other assets for now, because it's all works that requires time, and we want to just have the V2 launching soon. We are so excited about that.
Understandable, very understandable.
And by the way, Benedetto, I wanted to ask you about this whole conversation about the governance. What is your point of view? What is your perception of these measures, the vote, and how do you see that? You are a very important player in this whole
so
conversation.
with the team, we have published our perspective about that, but I can summarize it. And by the way, just to have some fun, I wanted to say at the beginning of the space that this space will never be fun as the previous one. It was amazing. I loved that. So anyway, we are here having a great space.
Yeah.
So obviously, the first measure is crucial for us. It's something super important. We strongly support that. It will be great to have direct incentives. This basically was what I proposed when there was the discussion before the previous G4. You remember if there was the open forum, we were talking about that. And my idea was that, because it's simple, just take a percentage of the incentives and you say, okay, these are going to DeFi through the different options that are there and are going to incentivize the yield. That's it. Like, we are complaining that institutional whales doesn't want to take risk in smart contract, whatever. Okay, we put some amount of the rewards into this type of solution, and then we see how until which APR then they are going to use. Anyway, I think it's gonna work because last period was extremely successful. I mean, for Folks was great, but in general for the whole ecosystem, I think more than 300 million algo was used into DeFi governance solution, and it's a milestone. We were targeting 100, we did 150. Let's see what will be next. I think more and more will be going to do that, especially if there are more incentives. So that's my idea. And regarding the second proposal, here there are some points still open with the foundation, because the problem is for us that as it is right now, LPs that are on Folks wouldn't be counted for the rewards. In general, it's good because it's more incentives to the DEX, and right now the Algorand DEX needs incentives, needs a lot of incentives, especially in markets time like that. DEX to survive needs incentives, and none of our DEX has launched yet the governance token. So if the foundation is going to support it, obviously it's very important, and I'm happy about that. But I would like to find a solution together with the foundation, and we are working on that in order to include LPs deposited on Folks also to be eligible.
Yeah, I was very pleased with the proposals too. Like, that's I think the best way to reward the people, like the small players like us, and to just be rewarded more by participating and putting our funds into the TVL to grow. And I think Algorand was the fastest growing DeFi, right? Recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that this is made by folks, but during the July, there was the statistics, then bringing folks as the highest protocol going in TVL in the whole month for DeFi Llama, and this has pushed a lot also Algorand, right? So it was great. I really think that every governance is a potential chance to change things. And look, I think everyone has seen the article on Solana. I don't remember. I always forget the name of the protocol. That there was a single protocol which was faking TVL, basically leveraging it in a way, in an incredible way, like 12 times, something like that. So everyone was hyped on Solana TVL, even on Solana transaction, and everything is behind the fake numbers, right? But still, it's what the market look at. So I really think that with the composability and of the protocols, right? Because you can mint Gialgo and then you can go pay it in LPs, and then if LP pass, then you can pay Gialgo Algo, and it will be greatly supported, and then you could use those LPs for borrowing of folks. You know, it's simply fantastic how TVL could grow using that. And I mean, we have the weapon. Then I'm sure as community, we do a lot. And then, unfortunately, as always, the power is in the hand of the richest, right? But I always work to change this, not to change that the power goes into the smallest, but this is difficult, it would be utopic, but I still look to change their mind, to make them investing in DeFi and to let them understand that metrics are important.
Yeah, no one is bad, no one is good. It's just like we need to make it interesting for bigger wallets. And I think it's the right approach. Hi, Oster. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, yourself. I had a question, comment regarding what you said, Benedetto, about the LP tokens. It should be just a technical detail, right? I mean, whether you're holding the native LP token or if you're holding the ELF asset for the LP token, which represents the LP token, right? I mean, I don't think you should have. I think you shouldn't have any problem presenting your case.
Unfortunately, I have to upset you. We have the problem because we talk with the technical side of the foundation, and right now we have no way of having our LP deposited to be supported.
Really? So, that's surprising.
Yes, that is surprising also to me. And we're in touch with them. Look, I'm going to come back next Sunday here and tell you if we have updates, but as now, there isn't the way.
Well, yeah, I think there should be no technical reason not to, but yeah, hopefully you can get that result.
I don't really know it. I think I remember something. Probably we, in order to allow your LP to be eligible, you need to send the standard transaction that the accounts does, for example, the liquid governance or with the vault of AlgoFi, sending the commitment to the Algorand Foundation official governance. So if this doesn't happen, they don't accept. And we don't have upgradable smart contract, so we can't go in our smart contract and change this in order we can do that. You know?
I see. Okay.
So that's the risk that occurs when you write code that is trustless.
I see. Well, yeah, hopefully you can work out some kind of solution for that.
Oyster, I want to ask you, did you experience some glitches as a listener in this space today?
No.
Okay.
I do hear a lot of complaints about it, though.
Yeah, but I don't see any. Like, never someone came
No,
as a
I
speaker.
understand perfectly. Yeah, I've had
Well, you got to understand this. There's like when you connect, they connect. Like when you connect as a speaker, you're connecting to like a different server. You can tell that by the audio that's coming out. Like when you switch from listener to
yeah.
speaker. So, like when we're listening in, like as a speaker, our audio is gonna be a lot more clear because we're directly connected to where you're connected because you're the host.
Yeah, I know, but Oyster was a listener since the beginning. That's why I
And
asked him.
to be
Well, but
honest, I've never I know I hear a lot of people all the time complain about being rugged or people, they drop off, you can't hear them, but I've never on my side, I've never experienced that.
Does anyone in the
And
in
I
the
and
audience
I
have
don't know what
problems
the
today?
difference is. I mean I use the Twitter on the iPhone. I don't know if that makes a difference. And when I connect from home,
well,
I
it's just
through
it's
through the
probably the
Wi-Fi.
server. It's probably the server you're connected to compared to the servers
True.
they're connected
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, that
That's
could be.
that's most likely it's most likely a Twitter issue, and the fact that we're literally all connecting from all over the world right now. If you think about it, we got a lot of EU, a lot of US people here right now,
Yeah,
especially.
that's true. It depends on how good your internet connection.
Yeah. Does anyone now today from the audience have problem listening to the space? Please let me know. Thanks.
I saw like 6 or 7 comments there. I simulcast to my Twitter stream just because my audio was solid. But there's not a lot of people listening to the simulcast. So it seems like most people are able to
If,
connect and listen today.
if we want, maybe next week Monty can host it just to test it out, and then if people are complaining less, then we'll know maybe that might be the issue.
Yeah, sure. Happy to try.
So there's another few pieces of news that happened this week. I'm going to post 2 to you guys right now, and we can talk about one of them. One is that Opulus raised a new round. Not sure how much they raised, but they've gotten investment from the Algo Foundation, amongst other individuals or groups. And the second is that a new DAO from Y Combinator called Orange DAO has been established. They raised 80 million in a round led by Algorand and the Near protocol, and there's apparently hundreds of people in this DAO, all Y Combinator alumni. If you don't know what Y Combinator is, it is a startup accelerator and incubator. Companies that came from Y Combinator in our space are AlgoFi and Lofty AI. So a big DAO of a few hundred people, so they say, raised 80 million, partly from Algorand, in partnership with another blockchain. What would you guys rather talk about, that or Opulus's raise?
I want to know more about the DAO. I don't have a lot of info on that, so I'm hoping you can share a little insight there.
Yeah, there's not much info out right now, but it kind of seems like, you guys remember Borderless DAO? Like, you remember when Borderless Capital said they were starting a DAO, and maybe they still might be, maybe they scrapped it, maybe it's in the works, but it's going to be interesting to see another DAO with a lot of capital come into the space and try to build or choose projects to invest in. I think this is a pretty bullish sign for the ecosystem, because raising 80 million right now is definitely quite difficult. So I think it's probably going to be a net positive for everything, but I'm curious to see how a DAO of a few hundred people will work. The issue with DAOs a lot of the time is that decisions are tough to make. What do you guys think of, like, when a DAO gets big? Is it efficient? Can it really work well past a certain amount of members?
It really depends on how it's structured and if the structure changes with the growth of the DAO, in my opinion. Because I mean, like, early iterations aren't going to usually work when the DAO gets big, in my opinion, and you're going to have to change things up, especially as it becomes more decentralized over time. It just depends if the DAO is willing to evolve with the community, in my opinion.
There's also a lot of DAOs that aren't, are DAOs in name only, but they've got some kind of a management agreement or something in place. So really, it still is fairly centralized. I'm curious if Agash has any insight there. I know he's got a lot of experience working with DAOs as well.
Hello. Yeah, I think the Orange DAO model is a quite interesting model. They're operating quite uniquely in the sense that Orange DAO is actually kind of like two entities. One entity which is onshore, one entity which is offshore, and essentially they have an Orange token. The Orange token is what these 1,000+ alumni have, and then they have kind of like an Orange fund which operates kind of like as a typical fund. The Orange DAO controls the Orange fund. Um, so yeah, you basically vote with Orange tokens in order to choose which investments that the fund is going to make. And how the Orange token increases in value, the fund as well is 100% of the 20% carry. Is essentially, you can consider it that the DAO is with a typical VC firm, you obviously have like the 220 model. So you LP your money into a VC, and then 220% goes back to management. So in this case, how they're operating is there is still a fund, and the DAO essentially is the manager of the funds. The 2% is given to the people that manage Orange DAO, and then 20% of the profit, which is made by the fund, is used to buy back Orange token. So if the fund obviously does well, 20% of the profits that the fund releases goes to buy back the Orange tokens on a debt, and that will obviously increase the value of the Orange token when they buy back and burn these Orange tokens, which is quite an interesting kind of a two-tier model. Obviously, the main difference being is that by holding an Orange token, you don't actually have a stake in the DAO or the underlying assets. You have essentially a claim to the profits that the fund makes. And this is obviously just trying to work around some of these securities issues and public offering issues that you have when you want to run a DAO of more than 100 people. So the fund itself is limited to 100 people, but the Orange DAO itself is a token that is essentially a governance token, and the way that this governance token increases in value is by the DAO performing well, if that makes sense.
I mean, I love to hear about these kind of advanced DAOs trying to improve the structure or be more structured, because a lot of DAOs are very unstructured, legally especially. So if they buy back Orange tokens with profits and then burn them, doesn't that reduce the amount of people who can benefit from the profits of the DAO? Doesn't it, like, over time centralize the concentration of profit making?
Yeah, but I guess we have what you have to consider is the Orange DAO is backed, or the underlying thing is an Orange fund, and funds usually have a limited time span. So I think they've tried to create this model in a way. Obviously, a typical fund have like a 5 to 10 year window, and over time, the number of Orange tokens will obviously go down. People who are still holding on to Orange tokens and haven't sold them, there is more incentive to hold versus supplying it into like an LP pool or something for it to be sold, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's an interesting model. But I do think having the Orange token not actually have any underlying ownership to the underlying asset is I guess the next step of what we'll see in DAOs. I guess the other thing is obviously if a DAO does, crypto start valuations, which they're probably going after, extremely high. So actually exiting at your valuation is quite a good thing. So we raise around $1 billion, and Orange DAO invests in $1 billion, and the founders managed to exit $1 billion. The Orange tokens don't see any value from that, because obviously if there's no carry, in this case no profit being made, obviously the fund will return back their money, but the orange tokens don't appreciate in value, even though they chose something which I guess didn't appreciate in value, but it's just stating that start valuations are insanely high, and sometimes being able to be acquisitioned at your latest round is obviously still a positive result versus selling negative or shutting down, if that makes sense. But the one thing which I will say about Orange DAO, it's refreshing to see DAOs coming out that actually kind of are working within the legal frameworks supplied versus a lot of DAOs that I think exist either aren't DAOs to a certain extent, so not decentralized or decentralized in that nature, or secondly just kind of say screw regulation essentially, and just kind of do whatever they want to do without a purview in the regulatory impact of what they're doing.
And most funds have a certain life cycle, like you said. They'll dedicate 10 years or something like that, and the first half of that they have to invest, and then the second half of that they have to basically let it ride or take profits. So we can expect to see significant investments of their capital over the next few years, correct?
Yeah, so I think they're working towards a 5-year, like a 5-year investment cycle. So they've raised 80 million, so I assume they'll deploy that over the next 5 years, and then obviously seek some returns. But obviously, they're obviously going to be acting as a kind of a crypto VC firm. So obviously, those returns might be a bit quicker than a traditional Web2 fund, in the fact that obviously some of the things we say they're going to invest into are things like NFTs, coins, coin offerings, and obviously those usually have a shorter time to return than a typical kind of Web2 investment, where you might be waiting for an IPO acquisition that could be 5, 7, 9, 10 years.
Thank you for telling us more about those processes. Not everybody understands how the business side of things is going on. Like people buy tokens, and not everybody knows that like the real project have real companies and equities and things going on that needs to be structured. And even DAOs, and I've heard of many projects trying to build like proper legally structured DAOs, and it's very, very difficult. And I think Monty, you had these kind of problems too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Gosh has walked me through some of this stuff previously. So it's really complicated, especially I'm in the States, so where regulation is gray or just undefined, and it's not just a U.S. issue; it's worldwide. A lot of folks run into these issues. So coming up with creative ways, this 2-tiered system is really interesting. In fact, I took a bunch of notes because if this works for them, and clearly it is, you don't raise $80 million with a system like this if it's unreliable, then we may see more of these. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, they have a very, very in-depth Notion page, which I think, well, I just went on the website, I think they've moved off that Notion page, but I was part of the Notion very early on when they were coming up with the Orange DAO. I contributed a little bit to it in its inception, like a few months ago. But yeah, I can't find the Notion page, but if I do find it, I will send it to you, but it's no longer on their website. They have replaced it with an Orange charter, which is not as detailed as all the flow diagrams they had on the Notion page. But if I do find that, I will share that, so people can have a read. Because obviously, they had a lot of discussions and kind of everything they wanted to do in relation to that.
Gosh, since you seem to have some insight into the project, do you know why they partnered with Near, or maybe it wasn't Algorand partnering with Near, but they co-funded the round and co-led the round with the Near protocol? Why Near of all blockchains, and should we expect to see some synergy between Algorand and Near in the future?
I won't comment on that for the time being.
Can't comment?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll just have to extrapolate, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
Algorand collaborates with all, sir.
I mean, you say that, and I know, but like, it's not like Algorand is raising around with Solana or Ethereum. You know, it's
Well, that'd be a conflict of interest then, because I mean, like when you talk about like someone like Cardano, for instance, we're both like chasing like the same kind of technology, which is like pipelining technology. And then same thing with like Solana, we're both fighting over like no forking system, but ours stays up. So like I said, that'd be a conflict of interest if we're just raising with these other blockchains, unless we had like some mutual beneficiary thing that could benefit both chains. That would be like the only reason I would see that happening. But we do collaborate. Our computer scientists do talk to other chains, and we do talk. They do work with each other. I've heard like Charles Hopkins say like wonderful things about like Silvio and the Algorand team and how they've worked together on numerous things over time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say collaboration, but I think if a huge project like a CBDC, like let's in a huge country, has to build a CBDC, the country cannot rely on only one blockchain, so they would use many blockchain to make sure that they are not completely dependent on one in case there is a kind of problem. So yeah, it's I think there is kind of a parallel approach to build a strong product for big companies and big countries trying to build something on the blockchain. They need to have like backup blockchains, and I wouldn't be surprised to see projects being built both in on Near and Algorand, for instance. What else do we have this week? Like, we don't have much drama this week, like, which is cool. But people love drama, right? Like, we've seen a lot of.
We have some drama this week.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Ooh.
Which one?
I don't want to bring the subject, but there's drama with Azalytic.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more.
Azalytic, right.
So I don't have much info on this, but yes, for the so Azalytic, as you might know, is a platform that, like NFT Explorer, allow to have information about NFTs and collection and etc. And the foundation grants a new give a new grants to Azalytics. So with a S, and so there is a drama because it's kind of the same name, and so everyone is a bit asking why we have this why we have twice the same name or almost the same name, and the two of them got the approval and at least support from the foundation. So that was the drama of the week that we have that we had.
But do they do the exact same thing? Because I think Azalytics with an S does more like AI stuff.
Yeah, that's not the same subject at all. But the issue was it's just the same name. It's the same name. So
yeah, like
it's almost.
What if I went and made some type of DeFi protocol called Folk Finance without the S? It's. I just find it kind of shocking that no one in that investment team or doing the due diligence realized this. And even though I reposted the tweet from Azalytic, the original Azalytic, where I had tweeted like, "Isn't it funny that we have both these names?" And then he commented, "It's not funny to us. We've been trying to build a brand." That comment got a lot of engagement. A few hundred likes. Seems like people really noticed. So I retweeted that and tagged Stacy, Shamir Ozuri, and John Woods. 3 higher ups at the foundation. Shamir ended up responding. He said basically that it was a mistake. Like, they didn't mean to do that. They're working it out. But it's still shocking though. Like, I don't really know how you can be. And people were criticizing the Algo Foundation for being out of touch with the ecosystem. And I think this does kind of work with that argument, even though I don't think the foundation is out of touch with the ecosystem. But when they make a decision like that, it makes them seem like they are.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. And I've just seen like a meme with the picture Algorand and Algorands. There is now an account called Algorands, which is even funnier.
Yeah, we used to have Frida with Algorand with 2 Ds.
Oh yeah.
Just using that name to basically trick newcomers into thinking that her page is some type of like legit page. And that was a problem. That kind of pissed everyone off a little bit.
And there is a new one. I hate it. It's Algorand Q. But when you type Algorand, you end up with the Q, and then you have to delete and be careful. It's annoying. People starting their things with Algorand and they just add something.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it's unfortunate for the Asalytics team, the new one, because, well, I guess they should have probably looked up if their project's name was already taken or some form of it. But I feel like they've gotten a lot of kind of negative energy from that, without having a chance to state what they do and show us what they do. So I think we also need to give a little leeway to them and understand that they probably made a mistake as well. They're not trying to, step on Asalytic's toes. But it is just a weird thing that I think is slightly unprofessional and, shouldn't really happen. It just shouldn't happen.
I'm starting a TikTok today. It's going to be called Algorand HQ. What do you guys think? Original?
Very. No, go ahead. I need to see those videos.
Yeah, it's also a good sign, like, because the ecosystem is growing and people don't even find like a name that is available, so they just try to find the one. Yeah, Patrick.
All right. Yeah, I tweeted about. I kind of replied to someone, or someone did. I don't remember. Here's my take on it. I guess whether true or not is just conjecture, but it just does seem like there's a lot of projects coming up that are new. They're small teams. They're not really part of the community at all. Like, they're not prior Algorand users. They're not really in the community and using Algorand. They're coming on board via an accelerator or a hackathon or something like that. And I think it's just a simple kind of, it's more ignorance in the sense that they're working this project and they're like, oh, these are ASAs, so we'll call it, Asalytics or whatever. And they're not even thinking. It's like that they probably weren't even aware of the existing project. I don't think it's like malicious, which I think everyone seemed to assume. I think it's just they're a new project and just completely unaware because they're not connected yet. That's my conjecture, at least.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many people coming straight to build and to ask investments and grants and not even knowing the community.
100%.
And yeah, they just
I see it all the
jump
time,
on
actually.
names.
I mean, it's still actually it's one of the kind of pet peeves of mine a little bit, just because. I mean, I try to stay involved, all over the place, and it bothers me a little bit when I see a lot of, even big kind of projects where it's like you don't see the involvement out in channels and things, whether it be their developers, things like that. Yeah, particularly for new projects, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and also there is so much knowledge to be gathered in the Discord and in the forums, and like the teams have to understand they have to go through all this network and to get to know the people, to talk to the community, because maybe something already exists that they're trying to do and they don't even know, which can be weird. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's a good sign. Like the ecosystem is growing, people are coming, newcomers, new builders, especially. It's exciting.
Yeah, so I just want to add something. We don't need to fight each other in the Algo Farm. So when something like this occurs, just try to talk with concerned parties, and I'm sure that everything will go back in order soon. But I just didn't like the fact that so everyone is joking about it. It's fine, but some were a bit harassing a bit, and that's not what we want. We always have a bit of drama on Twitter, but that's not what we want for the community. And I guess Shamir did a really good comment this that Algo shared on the chat.
Yeah, I think people just want to make jokes and like have a good laughter, and it's cool. But sometimes, yeah, it can go pretty far. Like,
It can definitely go pretty far. It just everyone's chasing that reaction, kind of like how you say blah. Like when someone does something where someone messes up, everyone's trying to make that perfect comment to get the reactions. I mean that's just Twitter, unfortunately. If you do something to kind of garner attention from a mistake, someone's going to kind of try to benefit off that mistake if they can.
yeah, and also some drama. Like people like to create drama sometimes just to get more attention, and it's kind of sad because long term it's not good. Like even right now, like as we speak, like devs that make the kind of mess with Massimo last week. Now he's running his own space at the same time. Like this is so sad. Like to try to divide the community. It's very childish too. So I told him, but yeah, just it's kind of sad to see because we are not helping the ecosystem by doing that. It's plenty of hours during the week to run another space, right? How many hours per week there are?
He actively said he's shorting Algorand, so for him to divide the community would be ideal for his, I guess, marketing for this in his position. So I mean, some people just get too emotional when it gets to investing, and when you bring emotions into your investments, things tend to get out of hand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What do we have a subject? We have other subject. I see Warfare Labs. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, well, I'm doing very well. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yep.
a little bit like deep, but it's okay.
It's just my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were talking about names, so I just wanted to come up and ask about. I just noticed this on Twitter like a week ago or maybe a couple days ago, and I don't understand exactly what's going on. But what is the official Sean Ford Twitter account? Because I've seen two, and they're both followed by very legitimate people like Algorand, the main Algorand account. So there's like the WS Ford account, and then there's the real W Sean Ford 1 account. And does anyone else know what I'm talking about? Because I've seen two, and they're both followed by like legitimate people, and I don't understand.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see what you're talking about. I had this question before. Let me tell you right now because I had.
Well, it's the one with the blue check. It's the one that's been verified by Twitter.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
But
It
the
has
other
been
one is
verified.
followed by Algorand and Algo Explorer. Like it's followed by, it's followed by Paul Regal. Like it's followed by other legitimate.
Yeah,
people.
he had two actually. He had two, and he gave up one.
Yeah, the WS4.algo is the right one.
Okay, so it's not the real Sean W. Ford 1 like account.
No, It's a at WS Forward and then the name wsforward.algo to check.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
easy way to tell, right? That one is the real one. Well, the authentic one has the blue check that's verified by Twitter.
There was a post somewhere like a couple days back with I think blockchain.com, and they tagged his second account, and so I got a bunch of followers, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they messed up, but I guess they just tagged his old account. So yeah, sorry, that was the only question I had. I just was very curious what was going on there.
So what about governance? Like, did anyone choose what he's gonna vote? I'm pretty excited actually about the vote one. Like, I will definitely vote for the 7 million to the DeFi users. What about the second one and the first one? Like, any strong opinions around here?
I'm. Go ahead, Oyster. Go ahead, Oyster.
No, I was just to say, I mean, I support both proposals. Option A, I would have liked to see, whatever, we can give it a try. Start with the 10%, 7 million. I think that's. I mean, it's the step in the right direction, but yeah, I mean, I like Benedetto said, right? I mean, and last week we had a discussion. We have to come to terms that this is we are in competition, and we are we don't live in a vacuum, and it's urgent that we grow DeFi. I mean, that's basically my rationale behind it.
Yeah, I agree. I plan on voting yes on both. Although I watched Cooper Daniels' algo rant the other day, and he made a good point that the LP provision measure, in which the LP tokens that you hold for certain pools will be counted in governance, may benefit large liquidity providers in an outsized way, because large liquidity providers are the holders of most of that that capital. I wish they had taken an additional 5 million algo or something like that and put it toward the the LPs, because I think it shouldn't be a decision of taking the 7 million and divvying that up, just take a little more. But like you said, Oyster, I understand they want to take it slow and not rock the boat too much. And in addition, the folks find it, what Benedetto was saying about LP providers who are staking on other platforms, like those people need to be accounted for as well. So that's kind of an oversight that they didn't really think about in the second proposal.
Yeah, I mean, they should. That's something that they need to work out. We LP staking, LP farming. For example, Humble, right? Humble, and Folks Finance. Those are and other platforms that LP farmers should be definitely included. Yeah, and in terms of I saw Coop's his response, his thoughts on the LP. It's it's not, those LP providers are providing liquidity. I mean, so they deserve. We shouldn't. We have to change. We have to eliminate in our mind. We're biasing our. I think what's happening is we're biasing our thought process by thinking about who is supplying, who's going to benefit. You know what? Everyone benefits. Everyone benefits. The whole Algorand ecosystem benefits. So his rationale is to vote against it because he's looking to maximize his rewards or rewards for retail or his rewards, right? He doesn't want the big VC LP providers to take away from his governance DeFi rewards. I think that's the wrong way. I think that's the wrong perspective, in my opinion, right? I mean, that again it's that you know what? It's equal opportunity. And the 7 million bottom line, I think it's like you said, I think they just didn't want to rock the boat, and if they're afraid if it was too high. So I think it's too low. I think it'll have an effect, but it's not it's not going to have a major effect. But hopefully, if we see an effect, we can ramp it up. We can scale it up in the next governance period. That's it.
Great. Yeah, it's a funny environment because now we have the protocol has not been as strong as today, never, and the price is dropping, and people are like complaining and like it's the bear market, but yeah, the the price was much lower 2 years ago, and we're very happy to have some algos and to add in our bags, even though there was not even an AVM at the time. It's funny how people don't understand the opportunity that is coming here. So much like complaining. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, growing the Algorand ecosystem, that's how we win big. People are looking like to snipe yield here and there and not seeing the big picture. If the big picture is to grow Algorand ecosystem that will shoot it up into the top 5, top 2, number 1, right? That's where the real wealth creation is, not like debating, worrying about for the next 3 months that I want to get a little extra yield. It's penny wise, pound foolish is the expression, right? The much greater return on your investment is growing the whole Algorand ecosystem, right? Anyway, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's the only value. It's the only real value is how the ecosystem is strong. It's not like the price of any other token. And not many people understand that. But it's cool, because we know the people here. And also, when it dips, the price dips, we have newcomers. We have new members in the community. So I wonder if there is anybody in the audience that is just discovering Algorand, jumping in, listening, and if you want to speak and say hi, that would be awesome. So please ask to speak if you're new. And what is your perception of this whole space? You were probably following AlgoFam, our friend here with the beautiful NFT, and then you found out about the AlgoFam chat, and here you go. Welcome.
Coop was talking about some of the negative influences, and I think because we're all in this space on a regular basis, and I actually missed it last week, but there were some particular vibes going on that I picked up on. I think that we see some of that negativity, and it just sticks out so much in stark contrast to the overall positivity that we generally see in our community. We may ask hard questions, but generally speaking, everybody is very polite, and we all have the same end goal, is to help each other get better. So even when we ask tough questions, it's still in a very respectful manner, and overall positivity, I think, is a hallmark of the Algorand community, the hashtag AlgoFam in general. So I think that, and I would hope that newcomers kind of pick up on that before they pick up on the small amount of negativity that sort of, creeps in, especially in a bear market, or if somebody's aggressively shorting something. Clearly, they're going to be in a situation to badmouth some folks.
But to be honest, last Sunday was like the questions were not asked properly and respectfully. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
That was
that's the
exception.
outlier, though, right? Like that doesn't happen very
Yeah.
often with us.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
There's always
Oh, sure.
exceptions, and I agree, crypto nerd. But there's a line. There's a line in the sand, right? And when you cross that line, right, you cross that line. Yeah, and we know, like for example, just to say, to post a tweet that you're shorting Algorand to the ground, whatever the statement was. I mean, come on, to me, that he's crossed the line. I'm talking about Debs.algo, Algo DNet, whatever, Algo D monitor. That's just pure. We don't need that.
Yeah, but the thing that is sad is that when he's saying that he cannot raise criticism, like when we have been asking him like just for facts and data, and I'm eager to read about what he has to say, but it's just accusations, allegations, like with no proofs, no
It's
data. And I've been
it's
asking. It's sad.
it's woke. It's like we have woke in Algorand. It's like that woke mentality. If people know what woke is, if you're here in the U.S., you probably you'll know what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I see.
I just think just to add before I let Stefan talk. I just think he probably made some bad decisions, and he's just trying to deal with them in his own weird way. Unfortunately, he probably destroyed his credibility throughout the ecosystem, in my opinion. So, I mean, he's already done the damage. What he's doing now, I mean, over time, his little theories will either play out or not play out.
I don't know if you remember, but 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now, Des was really in a bad mood already. And last week it was a mess completely. But I don't want to bring another drama, but I have questions. Do you know, someone know what happened with Yidli? I think there is something going on a little drama. Another company got roasted, something like this. I don't know if someone have insight about this.
Yeah, I can explain Yieldly because I was a really early, huge supporter of them when they first launched, and not so much now. I think it's all the pivots is one thing. Also, when something goes wrong, they're not really, I say, upfront and honest to what happened, and just not really. People aren't just really happy with them anymore. And then not only that, when they did that Yes Sports, they're just kind of like, why didn't you do that on Algorand? Or and just stuff like that. And it's just like they just made so many pivots that from their original roadmap of what they were going to do, and that was just like it's like they just went to that little roadmap and grabbed a little dry eraser and just erased everything but just put something else in place. And when everyone first got in, it's like, no, that's not what we wanted and what you promised us. So I'd say that'd be the main issue with Yieldy is they just don't really connect with the community that well or communicate either. Even though people were pretty vocal about what they want.
Yeah, but
I'll
that's
second
also
that communication deal. Sorry, Bilal. But yeah, they put out a tweet the other day that said, sorry, something was wrong with their UI interface, and they had to refresh it again. And I hadn't visited the site in so long, I didn't even know they had a UI facelift. And then I realized, man, they really have fallen off the radar. And I think it's that communication issue. They just haven't been forthright or proactive in their communication. And so people don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and is it even relevant to the Algorand family anymore? We're not sure what is relevant and what isn't relevant. anymore. And I think that probably causes a lot of confusion. And because of that, people just start ignoring them.
Yeah, originally, like when I first invested into Yieldly, it was supposed to have like an automated market maker by now and then direct buy of algo on site and all this cool stuff. And then it's just like one day they went up there and they erased the whole DeFi suite thing. Like, we're going to be a launchpad now. And we're going to release this other token called iYieldly, which they end up scrapping because it had that bad of feedback. And yeah, it's just the communication and just not really sticking to the plan that they initially set out for, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of launchpads, Algo Fund, go check them out. They've got True You is planned for an IDO about 3, maybe 3.5 weeks from now is their first launch. So True You is a dating app. Go check them out. I did an interview with the folks yesterday. I think I posted that. Probably worth a look.
So a dating app on Algorand? That sounds pretty cool and fun. Like, what is it exactly? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. I mean, I interviewed them, so I've got a secondhand sort of information about them. But I've also researched the team, verified who they are, talked to most of the team at great length, and they've got some great marketing plans, great revenue generating plans. Their business plan is solid, but it's really it's a dating app. It's initial dating is legitimately through virtual interfaces. They're anticipating that they will make connections that are long distance relationships. It's sort of like like a Tinder or Bumble or something along those lines. They've got a lot of strong psychology behind the system and connections, and the token is used as a means of payment via swipe. So it's not a subscription model, and allows them. There's some staking that goes in there as well, and they've got some really kind of features that make it fun as well. They've almost gamified dating. They've got this feature called the mirror, where if you get scheduled for a certain time and everybody looks at their phone at a certain time, and you can make some random connections. That way it's outside of their normal algorithm, which kind of injects a little bit of fun, I think, into the scenario. But it's a strong team. Go check out their website if you haven't yet. And there was a little bit of question about timing, because it's tough for a project to launch in a market like this. And kudos to them. I think that they are poised to, sort of gobble up some market share before some other folks, because there are a few other dating apps or, social, connectors that are in the space, but they're looking to expand before everybody else can get a jump start.
Sounds pretty cool. Thank you for the update about them. I just saw your post and your video, and I'm going to watch it.
My signature headset dies like right at the beginning, so I've got to retire the headset now, folks. I'm gonna go go back to the standard mic.
Yeah, get you like some Audis or a Cloud Orbit, dude. You'll thank me later.
So do we have other subjects to bring on and to talk about? Are we forgetting something? I see Bank of Algorand. How are you doing at Bank of Algorand? You are the real OG here. If you can speak, please jump in. Yeah, Stefan, you had something?
Yep. So if we have nothing to talk about, I have a last point. There was a new proposition from one NFT marketplace to have a way for creators to display their what assets are inside the collection. So because right now a collection are set up by so you say to an NFT Explorer or Analytics, my collection is those IDs on this address. But there was a new proposition to define what is inside your collection from an asset. So that's called ARC30. I don't know if someone want to have ideas about this, but it's already it might be something that can help creators. So that's
So what is possible with Arc 30?
so Arc 30, basically you will create an asset, so like another one, and you will say inside my collection name Algorand is asset ID 1, 2, 3 until this number, and marketplace just have to query this asset, and we'll have every information about your collection. So you can add your URL, your description, etc.
Oh, cool.
So that might be an improvement to allow marketplace to display every application, every collection.
Sorry, Stefan, we had a problem.
Okay. Yes, I don't know what to think of it, but I think it might help some project to be. If someday we have other marketplace that want to integrate every project really fast, they can just query each asset like this, and we'll have every collection, every relevant collection.
So like a creator can just have his collection added to different marketplace much easier, right? So it's one standard for collections.
Yeah, that might be that will, I think, ease the life of marketplace to allow or not a collection based on what is inside. It will be easier for them to know exactly what is inside the collection. I know, for example, that Mingo was done with 4 or 5 different addresses. So maybe with just one asset, you can say all the Mingo collection is those asset IDs, and it will be easy for the marketplace to gather everything.
That sounds great.
Just wanted to speak on that a little bit, because there's also some other features there that I think are pretty useful, right? Like, so how do you know that all of those wallets are Mingo addresses, right? Like there's kind of that difficulty. So that you can use that ASA to send units to the other 5 addresses, so you know all 5 of them are part of the same collection, because only those 5 addresses are holding the units of the collection ASA. And likewise, if like Mingo wanted to ask for permission to collab with another project, right? Like let's say they had a Mingo that was shaped and used the same trace as an Algorand, and they wanted to get permission to that, they could send one of the units to Algorand, and if Algorand like opts in and accepts it, then that's how you know that Algorand is approving the usage of their traits or their imagery. And then they can send it back to them and unopt in if they ever disagree, right? So that'll be recorded on chain. And then the other element of discoverability there is like by having it as an ASA, and all collections have to use this unit name CLXN. You can just search in Algo Explorer CLXN, and like you can also do the same thing with an indexer call, and it will show up. It'll render all the collections. People might use collection the CLXN, and they don't adhere to the spec, but everybody who does adhere to the spec will appear. So it's like 100% recall. You're guaranteed to find every collection that's been minted on chain if you just use that keyword, assuming that they've minted an ASA. That's a collection ASA. So yeah, I think that it makes it easier for, instead of having to apply to each marketplace separately, you just mint it on chain, and then marketplaces can include it in their caching process, where they just look for new assets with the unit name CLXN, and they can choose to render them or not. And like a really good example of how this might have been useful is for Shuffle, that new marketplace that just showed up. I don't know if they definitely don't have all the collections. They might not want to have all the collections available, but if they had, if they wanted to include more collections that they don't already have, they could have used this, assuming people had already minted their collections as according to the standard. They could have just, scraped it off. I'm sure it would have been a lot easier than whatever import process they used otherwise.
So I just want to add something before you can continue. This is exactly what we want from Arc author, because they will be the one that know exactly why they are doing it and how they want to do it. So Evan, really thank you for jumping in and share with us exactly what's your plan and how you plan to resolve the issue. That's exactly what we want, and that's how you will have an ARC approved easily if you are able to explain and why and how you plan to resolve an issue.
Yeah, thank you for being so supportive. I really have enjoyed your presence in the space, Stefan, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm excited to see what other people's feedback is, and hopefully incorporate that and get it added to this ecosystem, because I think it can add some good value.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about how to create generative art on Algorand. Like, do you think we can have like a system that makes it easier for creators to put their whole creative process easier to the blockchain, or do they still have to separate things?
I do think it's right now kind of difficult. I've been helping a few people mint collections, and like the current way to do it, unless you're very code savvy, which a lot of the big projects are, so that's not an issue for them. But for smaller creators, it's really hard to just mint like 500 assets on chain. Like, that's not a trivial thing. Like one of the people I was helping was Kiro, who's trying to mint his goblin collection, and like bulk minting is something that there isn't a like web interface with a clean upload process. I know algonfts.art has kind of a system that's aimed at people who are new to the space, where you can upload some traits and it will do the generative art, and it will create a wallet for you and mint through that wallet. I think that's a great solution for people who are really new to the space. The only thing it doesn't offer that I think would be beneficial is a way to use your own wallet rather than have them generate a minting wallet for you. Because if they generate a minting wallet for you, then there's like always some, risk or some background concern. I don't know. I guess you can rekey the wallet, but we're talking about people who are new to the space, so it's like you want to make the process as simple as possible. So yeah, I think that there's definitely room for improvement to the creator pipeline, and I'm working on tools myself, trying to build minters and things, and I should have a new web-based minter out this week, Arc19 minter, that you should be able to mint as many items as you want using my algo with just a single click, single sign.
That sounds amazing. Like, can you tell us more about it? Like, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. So it's just it uses, and this is Patrick's recommendation. He pointed me at web3.storage. They also have a sister process called nft.storage. But super useful, unlimited storage, and like max file size is 31 gigabytes, like really generous storing requirements. So I got hooked up with them, and I got their API, and so it's just a basic form. You just upload your files, you give it an asset name, a unit name, description, URL, and then you can upload your traits, and it will mint all of them. And hopefully that'll be really easy for creators. And then you can do mainnet, testnet, and it's also got like a pause resume feature, which I think is pretty nice. Like, if something goes wrong in the minting process, it stores the state that you were at, and so you should just be able to resume where you left off if Wi-Fi cuts out for whatever reason, or in the middle of an upload, right? You should just be able to resume uploading that list of files. So it's got a bunch of little features that I think will hopefully make it easier for people to mint 500, 1,000, 10,000 assets without having to code it themselves.
Yeah, that's incredibly useful, because I personally have some friends, like graphic artists, that want to create their collection, and they just struggle at this exact same point, like how to have it created generatively easily on the blockchain, without being a coder. And yeah, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's incredible.
I just want to add something. So basically, on the foundation right now, we have a new, I would say, a new branch that is called that is only for tooling. So Arc is inside this branch, but we will have, I hope, during this year, more people joining in for tooling, and so maybe we'll not do a generative art because that's not the part, but to help people having a way to interact with the blockchain is something that the foundation is that's one of the goals of the foundation in the future, to help new people joining more easily the blockchain. And because I know from my last project before I joined the foundation that creating collection is not or using any information on a new environment is really hard, and the main user, most user will come from a blockchain space, I think. Main builder. So from other blockchain like Ethereum, they will be used to Solidity using smart contract. If you want to have a good way if you want to help them to transition to Algorand, we need to have some good tooling and some good open source repository so they can build and start more easily.
Do you know if they're offering like specific grants for building that kind of tooling, or like any kind of funding? Because
we can talk about this in private, but okay. Yes, it's so for the moment there will be a new, I hope in the future, a new head of tooling that will come, and I think after that there might be something open for this. But if you have any kind of tooling that you have in mind, or if you have already done, just hit me up and I will see what we can do with this. I will discuss with John directly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good move from the foundation. That kind of tooling is absolutely essential. The whole process of onboarding people has to be as smooth as possible, and for that, there has to be user-friendly tools that people are building, and like ideally they'll be offered for free, right? Like if people can mint a collection without having to pay a developer, because otherwise it's not worth my time to build it. But if they can use it for free because of funding from the foundation or something like that, then I feel like that's the optimal scenario for user acquisition.
Yeah, most of the time, what we have a grant from the foundation in this tooling category will be open source, so everyone can start from there, and even if they don't want to have this exact code, they can just fork it and do whatever they want with it. And I think that's really how we will grow faster. And yes, so feel free to share with me. And of course, I know everyone is working on something, but if you have, I don't think you should, not even from the foundation or something like this, but just what Oyster said before, we are not here to gain some yield on a DeFi project, 1 or 2% a month or a year, more or less, it's nothing. So we really want to have this open source approach, and if you have something that you can share, please share it as much as you can, and it can help a lot of people. So I might be a creator of NFTs, but if you know how to deploy a smart contract, so an application on Algorand, just share the code out there. I am sure that people will love it, and maybe from there it will bring other people, and that's how we grow a community, and that's how we will bring other devs to use our blockchain.
Yeah, even I think I will send you some DMs. I'd like to connect you with some artists that can try your platform. It sounds exciting.
Yeah, I would love to get some feedback on the process and just like make sure it works, because it's it's hard for me to come up with like images that I want to mint. Like I don't have like 5,000 images that I want to mint on mainnet. So, or like, even on testnet. So it's like, I want to see what the process looks like with other people.
That's
Hey
awesome.
Evan, could you put a link in like the ARC19 channel on the NFT Discord?
Sure. I haven't
Cool.
launched it just yet,
Okay,
but like
cool.
it's going to be, as soon as I launch it, I'll post it in the ARC19 NFT Discord 100%.
Sweet.
Yeah, I want that link too. Yeah, everybody wants it. That's so cool. It's a really good news.
Thank you. Yeah, it would not be possible without ARC19, the groundwork, the foundations that Patrick and NFD built. So always gotta credit where credit is due.
Hey, speaking real quick, I need to head out. I just don't want to just disappear. So heading out. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Patrick. See you next
Yeah.
weekend as usual. That's so cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone from the audience, do we have some subjects we forgot to talk about, or comments, questions, anything? Please jump in. It's a community space. It's not really about me talking. I don't know more than yourself, so don't feel shy to jump in, to ask questions, and say hi. Yeah, no one. Monty, I think it has been a long one. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been a good one though. Lots
Yeah.
to cover.
Yeah, pretty cool. No drama, just good projects, good people talking for the future of the ecosystem.
Maybe
Okay,
that's a
so
wrap.
yeah, thank you so much, my friends. Talk to you next weekend, as usual, every Sunday, 1 p.m. New York, 7 p.m. Paris. And yeah, bring your questions, your comments, your anything.
Thank you, Bilal, and have a good weekend and a good week, everyone.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for your knowledge and the support of the community from the foundation. Now that they have you, it's incredible, like, because you're really connected to the people. That's awesome. Thank you, my friends. See you next Sunday as usual. Bye-bye.
Tuned in to the Crypto Nerd Podcast, brought to you by Citrus and Algorand.